is Rene Bird. How are you all doing? Oh, I really enjoy the Wednesday evenings. I'm here now for another spectacular Who Am I talk. I'm so excited about my next guest. I get excited about all of them, but this particular beautiful young lady is so talented. Thank you so much for guys all joining. Her name is Alicya Sinclair, so Sinclair _ London for Instagram. She's a British Savile Row designer, award-winning designer, I must add. She is a force to be reckoned with, and I'm so excited to have her on my show this evening. We've had a chance to catch up a few times, but it's been a long time since I've seen her, and I'm so excited to have her on the show this evening. So how is everyone doing? I've got a bit of a cold, so I must apologise if I sound a little bit bunged up. I'm not even sure how it happened. You know, the weather dropped in London, and I think it just caught me out. So sadly, a little bit bunged up, but I came, you know, the show must go on, work to be done. So I'm really excited to share with you this amazing guest. I'm just waiting for people to join. Everyone's hello, where are you calling from, or where you were viewing from, I must add. Are you in London? Are you international? Please share. So I'm really excited. This has been going on since last year, this Who Am I talk, and the guests just get better and better. And I've got some amazing people lined up over the next few months. Some incredible ones, real high profile ones too, ones you'll never imagine. So I'm really excited to share with you. And I can see she is here, Sinclair London, Alicia. So give me 1 second, guys, and let's get her on. Hey, Di, you changed your name. Hey, Queen.
Good.
How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing very well. Doing very well. You look wonderful. You're a designer, so I don't expect nothing less but them beautified. You look amazing. How are you? Gosh, I was thinking how when we last saw each other.
Um,
My
it's
God,
3 years, going on 3 years now.
I think it was, wasn't it? We was at, I think we was at, was we at the event in Central London? We go to so much beautiful events. I think it was Central London event, wasn't it?
It was. I think it was the Odyssey Media event we were at.
Wow. How life has changed, huh? Crazy.
And but do you know what? In the grand scheme of things as well, it's nice to see that everyone's kind of adapted to the new way of doing things as well, and
No, definitely.
which is a good thing. So.
Definitely. And how are you? I always start by asking, how are your family? I can see you very well, but obviously it's a very unprecedented time. So you always want to know everyone's good spirits, family's okay, everyone's safe and doing what they can in this time, really, isn't it?
Yeah, family's not too bad. We have had a couple of individuals, sort of aunts and uncles, sort of
Sorry
different,
to hear that.
unfortunately, lost
Wow.
to COVID.
Yeah.
Um, I think what it's kind of brought everyone closer together and to make sure that everyone's
Oh,
act a little bit more than you probably normally would if you were seeing one
yeah.
another.
Of
Uh,
course, of course.
Apart from those, everyone is still good and in good health. So
I'm really glad to hear that. Yeah, I'm sorry. My heart goes out to you for that. As I said, it's a time that people don't realize how many people have been affected, you know, but all you can do in this season, as you said, connect. I think more than ever, I've spoken to family more than I've ever spoken to them, friends, Zoom calls, parties. So on that basis, it's been fantastic that we maybe never have done this as much as we should have. We need to keep this going, even when this moves on. We need to keep this connection, I think.
definitely, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'm so chuffed to have you on, and thank you. I know you're very busy, ladies. Lots going on right now for you, which is amazing in this season. And I've looked at your work, and your fashion is out of this world. Your tailoring, your attention to detail, everything is spectacular. And I'm very excited to share the world with you because you're in a very male-dominated industry. So as a woman being a tailor, my hat goes out to you because I know
Thank
that's without, yes, people forget, you know, not to say that there isn't women tailors, but to stand up the way you have, it says a lot about your craft and your design and your experience. So I'm really chuffed and want to share the world with this amazing lady. And Well, where do we start? I always want to know, how does somebody become a fashion designer? What triggered you to do this? Was you always into clothes? Was it a family member triggered you? What happened?
I think it was a combination of both, but I'd have to say to begin with, actually, from the age of 9, I've always kind of wanted to be in the fashion industry. And actually, at the age of 9, one of my good friends at the time and myself, we actually kind of just started designing just randomly. Not really thinking it was kind of going to go anywhere, obviously. It was just kind of a labor of love, so to speak.
Mm.
And then kind of as time kind of went on, some of the ladies who I was working with, so I actually started my career in bridal at the age of 16. So I kind
Okay.
of worked my way up from sort of bridal assistant manager,
Mhm.
advisor, and then went into actually kind of alterating bridal dresses and actually making bridal gowns as well. So it started off from there, and some of the ladies who I was working with at the time, they'd gone to, Central St Martin's and London College of Fashion, and they were saying, oh,
Mhm.
based on the history of fashion and dissertations and designing, and I was more interested in the actual craft, actually knowing how to make something. So if someone was to give me an image or a picture or a sketch, I'd wanted to know how to make it, not just design. So I kind of went down more the construction route, I guess you could say. And at the
Okay.
time, was kind of tailoring, which was very, very hands-on. So from there, after I did bridal, I did an internship at Oswald Boateng, and then
Oh,
after that,
wow.
then career off at on Savile Row, so as a tailor. So that was quite was
That's phenomenal. But ladies and gentlemen, Savile Row is the prestige place in London where most of the most biggest designers in the world have literally trained when it comes to tailoring. So for you to have your experience and to learn your craft there, wow. And I saw you see, you're very humble and I love you. The Princess Diana's tailor taught you how to tailor.
yeah. So
How amazing.
Andrew Ramroop, who he's an OBE himself actually, and
Wow.
he's got a really interesting story himself, coming from Trinidad to training on Savile Row, and then actually Maurice Edwell actually gave him his shop, and out of kind of respect and taking him on, he's actually kept the name Maurice Edwell. So, which is a lovely story. But he is recognised as probably one of the best tailors on Savile Row as well, and he was very famously known. Obviously, he made a lot of pieces for Diana, but there was a specific jacket which he had a very big,
Mhm.
and that was one of the jackets that kind of propelled him. So very.
Wow, that's amazing. So to be around the cream of fashion, and I hear the former CEO of Harvey Nichols and Burberry speaks about you as the next Giorgio Armani. That's an amazing, yes. How
Stacey,
incredible.
actually, she's a lovely lady herself. She's very, very down to earth, very, very humble, very fast in fashion as well. So when she's thought of something, she makes a decision, she runs with it. And yeah, it was nice to be mentored for with her. By the short space of time I was actually at Harvey Nichols. So, but she's a lovely lady.
Incredible. And so what inspires you to design? Wow, there's so much, there's so many layers to design. People just think, they see the finished product, don't they? In anything that we create, they see the finished article, but what goes through the process to get it to the finished article is somewhat a journey. So talk me through just like one of your pieces. What would you do? What inspires you? Is it you see something? Is it a sound? Is it a song? Is it a color? I don't know.
It could,
Fashion is so interesting.
a lot of the times it's on my travels. So it might be if I'm traveling somewhere, or if I go to a museum. If it's sometimes it could be inspired by Art Deco or buildings. Sometimes the architecture. So it really does depend on just what I like the look of, basically, and that's kind of where
Mm.
from. And then the journey usually is that you would create like a mood board or an inspirational board, and just kind of do some research and pull some ideas, together in total. And
Mm.
sometimes when you're in a very good headspace, ideas just kind of naturally come to you in terms of what you would ideally like to see your clients wearing, based on what they do, their job,
Mhm.
if they're traveling, if they're living, depending on what they're doing. But Yeah, inspiration can draw from anywhere, but I think for me, it's definitely on my travels when I go to a different country. You know, buildings. I'm very much into different cultures as well, so I like to understand different cultures, and that's also very
Mm,
inspiring.
that's amazing. So what does it feel like when you've obviously you get the individual, your client comes in, you have to measure them up. Um, then they, how many times does it take for you to get the finished product? I know like for the bridal wear, there's so many different levels to that, but what happens with regards to tailoring a jacket or a suit? Is it different stages? And you know, some people might like enjoy cake a little bit too much. Did you say to them, careful? You keep taking it in, taking it. What happens through that journey? Must be exciting.
Actually, so steps, you know, a lady would come in, we would measure them up, so it could be anywhere taken between 26 to 36 different types of measurements, and would craft a pattern specifically based on their measurements. If it is a jacket,
Hmm.
be anything, pair of trousers. And then we would initially make up a prototype or a toile to fit that specific item onto the client. So that would be sort of like first fitting or their shell fitting. And
Hmm.
quite enjoyable because we can go through fabrics and linings and prints and buttons, and it's a very nice experience for the client as well to actually
Mm.
look at what their identity is and how they want to kind of portray themselves through style as well and through fashion. Uh,
Yeah, that must be. Yeah. After you, Alicia.
oh yes, sorry. And then after that, what would then happen from there is then we would actually, once the fabric is ordered, we would then actually make up the piece in the real fabric, and then we would conduct a second fitting, and then usually we would have a final fitting after that. So the process could be anything from about 6 weeks to 3 months. It really depends on the client's schedule when they need.
And I've always it's something really special when you do the final fitting, because obviously they've seen different stages, but the moment they see it, do you cover like the mirror and things like that, you know, and then you show it to them, or how does it go? Because you always think it must be exciting for them to see the finished product. They've seen stages, but when it's on you, you can't really see what it looks like unless there is a mirror. So do you find that's quite exciting for you to see the finished product?
It is. I think the nicest thing is you kind of see your clients grow through the process. So I've had some ladies that have come in and they've been quite timid, or they've been unsure about what style suits them or what shape to go for, what kind of cut that would suit them. And some ladies obviously are very conscious of what sort of, you know, how much they show off, sort of like their bust or their waist or their hips. And when they have something that's tailored to fit them specifically, the end processes sometimes they do get quite emotional, and I think that's probably the nice
Oh,
kind of see the confidence kind of bloom inside of them. So yeah, I'd say that's probably the nicest process, actually seeing the finished garment on them and seeing the client actually happy in the end process.
yeah, and seeing how you made them feel beautiful and just what their picture was to what they actually finally looks like. It's amazing. Fantastic. And wow, you have, as well as looking after individuals and clients, you've moved into the costume world, into the film industry. Now, I'm so excited for you because one of the films, there's quite a few of them, but one of them I watched over the Christmas season and fell in love, Jingle Jangle. Everything about that film was amazing. I felt like a child again. And how did that come about? How amazing.
I have to just say, it was probably one of the most exciting films I'd worked on. And I think it was because it was an all black cast as well. And a lot of the individuals that were in the film, like, you know, for the Cosby shows, you know, we had watched them kind of years prior to that. So to
That's right.
work on a film where they're actually, you know, performing in it and you get to dress them, I think was the most exciting thing. Um, but for that particular film, we kind of just fell into it. So we were doing some kind of product placements for some series and films anyway. And it was
Yeah.
one contact that I had worked in on a previous film, Tomb Raider, who had contacted me and said, you know, we really need a tailor for this particular film that we're doing. She didn't tell me anything about it. It was all the
Hmm.
Harbourfield studio, so it was like, you know, 2.5 hours away from where we were. The first locations that Netflix had purchased at the time. So
Okay.
yeah, we had to travel up there, and then when we got there, we realised, you know, what it was and who the cast was and who will be dressing and who
Wow.
were going to be singing. And so, you know, you try and contain your excitement, but you know, I really
No, you got to let it go. That's the fan. That's the time to be the fan, without a shadow of a doubt. How amazing! And then I've seen the designs. I mean, the intricate detail. I mean, this the director. He was just. He's. I don't know much of him, but his thing. Wow.
David, again, him and his wife films, really, really nice couple, lovely couple. And he's obviously worked with some really big names in the industry. But he'll come in and he'll say hi to every single person, you know, talk to you about the film. You know, he's very involved in every single aspect of what he's producing, which is a really, really nice thing. You don't see that much with producers or directors.
So yeah, and I could see that, and even the way it was put together, and you see behind the scenes, and just how everyone spoke so highly about him, and you can see he put his heart and soul into that production. It
Yeah.
was just, I mean, so you dressed Forrest? I saw the
Yeah.
wow. How was that? He's an amazing man. I've met him once at an event, but not got that close.
He's very tall in real life, actually. It's quite deceiving.
Mhm.
He's very softly spoken. He talks about his daughter quite a lot as well, so them two are
Oh,
close. But he's lovely. He's just like a really nice, cuddly teddy bear. He's very, very sweet. Very, very sweet.
yeah.
Um, and you know, some of the costumes actually on the films, there was a lot of sort of like hand painted fabrics. So some of there's a it's a yellow jacket with like blue check, and it looks like a check, but those checks are actually painted on, and there was a lot of like, braille, yeah, stitched on and things like that.
Wow.
So there was a lot of work kind of gone into the actual fabric work before we actually made the pieces.
And then to see it, and then because it had such a beautiful the coloring, I think it's the cinematics of that production. To see your costumes brought to light must have been the most amazing thing, because they almost looked like they were coming to life, effectively, weren't they?
And be able to see the process from you get a piece of fabric to how it looks on the mannequin, and then to actually see it on someone in action it is very exciting, I have to say.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's amazing. A lot of people are saying in the comments they're proud of you. You're an amazing woman, and I will second that, quadruple that. What you've achieved is phenomenal. Just imagine, as a youngster, you sat down and wanted to be a designer, and then you fast track your life to see your designs in a film, to see people wearing your designs to clients. I think you sometimes forget to pat yourself on the back for things like that, and you deserve that.
Thank you. Thanks, Rene.
Yeah. No, honestly, I've watched you quietly. I saw when you had your studio, I've been watching you in the background, and little by little, you've just taken it to a whole nother level. And I'm very proud of you. I think it's important, you as a woman, because you're in dominating an industry, as a woman of color, let's not forget that. The barriers that you've had to break down to get to where you are is tremendous. So salute, definitely. And so Jingle Jangle obviously was Christmas, and it was definitely needed in this season, and it was the most amazing film production. I know you've done stuff with Mission Impossible, which I'm sure all the men on here as a women will lose their minds. So how did that happen? I mean, that obviously the tailor, not to say that the Americans or other countries don't have tailoring down, but we have to admit that we are one of the best tailors. How did that come about? How did that come about?
So funny enough, the same costume supervisor who arranges all the workrooms worked on Jingle Jangle. And again, so
Mm,
she had contact
okay.
to Mission Impossible, and that was based at Warner Brothers Studios, so that was quite nice.
Okay.
And with Mission, how they usually do things is that they have a costume department in every part of the location. So they had about 14 different locations that they were filming in. So
Wow.
here they were in London, we were kind of the costume team that were kind of putting items together. I was obviously doing a lot of the tailoring, the women's wear tailoring as well. So that was pretty fun. But that was a very, very kind of fast moving pace.
Wow.
Yeah, decision making. It was kind of like they made decision in the morning, and then you had to make sort of 6 jackets by lunchtime. It was
Wow.
then had to take it to set, and then you had to then fit it on Tom Cruise, and then it was literally decisions made in a space of about 10 minutes, and then it's back to the drawing board. They fly off again. So yeah, it's very, very intense.
Wow. But that teaches you, see, this is what people don't realize when they think of behind the scenes, the costume designers, the designers. You've got to be able to think on your feet. You've got to be able to deliver. You have to put your ego in the back pocket because you can't bring any of that onto set because there's going to be times they're not going to like this or not like that, and you've got to be able to deliver it. And then equally move with how they're moving, because on set, as you said, it moves quick, doesn't it? And they could change their mind in a millisecond. But what I've seen, what I know from you, because of your professionalism, because of your craftsmanship, you've come and you keep coming and you keep doing more and more films. That's testimony to your talent, without a shadow of a doubt, because you've delivered and you will continue to. And that's really special, Alicia, really special. And you've got another film, so I'm excited. You've got another one coming. Is it out or is it coming out?
Tomorrow, 28th.
Oh, wow. So I've got like, this is like an exclusive. So tomorrow the film's out. Yay.
Yes, very exciting.
Okay.
It's called The Dig. It's based on one of the biggest, what would you call it? One of the biggest kind of, oh, I think I've lost you for a second.
It's okay.
So it's based on a 30s film.
Okay.
It's kind of like an adventure, sort of like a history drama / type film. So that was all filmed in London, actually. A couple of it in Guildford as well. And it was really, really nice to bring in some of like the 1930s kind of themes into the costumes as well. And a lot of the costumes had printed designs, actual printed designs onto the fabrics before we made. So yes, that's on Netflix, called The Dig. I've only just seen the trailer, so hopefully it'll be quite exciting to see costumes up close and personal as well.
Amazing. And you know I'm going to be promoting that all over the internet, all over Instagram tomorrow when it comes out. That's phenomenal. And there's something going on, I must add, and I don't want to mention any other names because we're speaking about your product. There's something going on with the whole Britishness in the Netflix world, in the film industry. Have you noticed there's a big movement for us as the British?
Yes.
I've noticed that. And
actually, there's quite a lot of things that Netflix are doing behind the scenes to kind of push, trying to encourage more individuals kind of behind the scenes, producers, directors, writers who are from the background to do more with Netflix, kind of in partnership with Netflix. And also from the community, so from the Black community as well. So they have pumped quite a lot of money to kind of support that sort of niche market, to kind of encourage them to do more and to highlight, key writers, from that background, which is a really nice thing to do as well.
And that's really good to hear, because I think, you can't forget what happened last year, because it's still come into this year, and we're waiting to see how that's going to pan out when we do have our trial. But last year was a stir and a shake-up in the industry. As people of colour, there was so much more visibility than I've ever seen. There was an opportunity to share how we felt and to make a stand. And a lot of people listened. And as you said, with the Netflix, this is great to hear the big production companies are now offering solutions, giving opportunities to very talented people that haven't had access to funds. That's all it is. Opportunities, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely that.
Yeah.
That.
So that's really exciting.
Yeah, and there's quite a big movement as well in America with that as well. So they're trying to do as much as they can to, exactly like you said, to provide more opportunities for individuals to showcase, some key talents. And I think that's helps to bring more people to the forefront as well. And you have a more diverse industry, I guess, as well. How
do you feel? I mean, I feel I've always looked to America. I've got a very close affiliation with the States. Do you feel we've got a little bit more work to do over here in the UK, or do you think we're now moving in the right direction? Or do you feel that the connection is a bit greater in the States? They're bigger, or maybe there's more opportunity, more production companies that look like ourselves? Do you think that's what's happening? Do you think we're a little way yet?
I think it's a good start for the UK, definitely. But I think the US have always been ahead of us a lot further along than where we have been. And definitely in the US, there's always a lot more opportunities, but opportunities that are kind of on your doorstep. So if you're Atlanta, LA, or New York, you're kind of already bumping into people that you would potentially work with or who you see on the screen as well. So, I mean, one of my brother's actually moved to Atlanta specifically because he's an actor as well, and he says you'll be almost tenfold from what you get in the UK as well. I think it's more international, it's more kind of diverse, you get more opportunities, but we're getting there in the UK, definitely. We are.
No, I think I agree with you. I think I have a lot of family that might be even on here from Atlanta. It's one of my perfect spots. I love it with a passion. And as you said, there happens to be so much more entertainment. There's people around. People will connect you. You will get someone's card and they'll follow it through. And there's so much more numbers as well. So that always helps. But over here, I think we've got a way to go. But as you see, a lot of the British actors are going over to the States and literally doing damage. So there is something happening, but I just think we need to work a little bit closer together. If there are people that you can mentor, which I know you would do and I've done, we try and help the next generation coming up so they have the opportunities, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's important as well, because I think it's very difficult to know what you don't know, if that makes sense. So if you are looking to kind of get into creative industries, sometimes there are routes that you may think that don't exist, and especially the film world as well. There's so many different types of kind of opportunities behind the set that they don't necessarily teach you at school, or they don't teach you at university, or they don't tell you about, wherever you might go. And it really is who you know, who you talk to. You might just accidentally fall into, that sort of area, and then it opens up a world of other opportunities. So I think it is important for us, if we've gone through that stage, to also be able to kind of share that with the next generation, so that their journey is probably slightly quicker than ours as well, so they kind of a path to follow than we do. So yeah.
No, definitely. I like that. It's true. We need to make it the lift instead of the stairs. Let them have the lift so they can get up there quicker. No, I think we're all doing our little bits. I think it's important to work with teams, as I said, professional people, to recommend people who we feel will be good for the job. I think it's important to do that. Open up contacts. I think some people, we can be very bad at that and go, oh, no, hold on to it and gatekeep. Sometimes hand it over, share and love, I call it, because everyone has to grow and deserves to be better and bigger. So I think that's over time. Would you agree, Alicia?
Definitely. And I think, there was a quote, and I can't even remember where I had heard it, but the quote was basically saying there's always room at the top. So, it doesn't really industry you're in, or if someone's doing something similar to you, there's always going to be a space or a niche for what you're doing, for clients to be able to reach out to you. So I think it's a case to know that not to be selfish and not to hold on to things just because you think it's going to benefit, because it doesn't really benefit just you. Be a lot more open and giving to others as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think you as a role model, because what you are to many young people coming up and other fashion inspiring designers, I think watching your story and watching what you've done will definitely inspire people just on the surface level, let alone when they get to know you and your character and your personality is beautiful. I think I'm excited about what you're doing and what it can do for the next generation. I think women in particular, I can only speak as a woman and I can speak as a woman of colour, they need to see more visibility of people in success. They need to see people that have broken ceilings, and so they can see they can achieve that. So I think what was fantastic, in particular the Jingle Jangle, was to see the black cast. It was like, wow, there's just me. And another youngster can see themselves in that and see another tailor and see someone that they can be inspired by. And that's what it is. You need to see it to believe it, don't you? We've been very lucky in our generation to see a president in the United States, I would say, for the Western world, become a president, a man of color, and first lady. We've witnessed things up beyond my wildest dreams and I thought I would see. So I believe there is nothing that you can't achieve. I just think you just got to know the coordinates to it, So what you've achieved and what you've done is phenomenal. What would you say to an inspiring designer coming up? A lot of people in our industry say don't do it, but I'm like, I know you're not going to say that. What would you tell them, or what's your nuggets that you would give them to move forward?
I would say learn as much in the industry as you can, to kickstart, because especially in fashion industry or creative industry, and especially if you want to run a business, there are so many things you have to do yourself to start off with. And I think it's very important that you kind of know all aspects of the business. It then kind of broadens your horizon into, so you know. The next thing I'd probably say is always be around or associate yourself with people who have more experience than yourselves as well. So you've always got people that you can grow from, you can learn from them as well. And I would also say, how can I phrase this now? I would say, in other words, don't take criticism too harshly. So be open to people giving you constructive feedback and knowing the difference.
Of course.
Feedback and when someone's obviously just saying it for the sake of saying it. Be open enough to know that they're doing it for, you know, for you to grow and for you to become better than who you are along the way. I'd probably say those are the three things I would probably say.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think there's so many different parts of the story, isn't it, and the journey. And, you know, criticism is one of the hardest things in our industry. There's always going to be somebody that will have their perspective, or I call it their lens. Their lens is different from mine. So, but it's, you know, obviously if it's constructive and it's enabling us to grow, I think we need to take it. But in entertainment or fashion, there's going to be someone else that has a different tilt or a different look. But the individualistic side of you is what's important, how special you are as your individual self, isn't it? So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And after you, Alicia.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's quite important to be confident enough in your own self of who you are. I mean, especially in the fashion industry, it can be very kind of, you know, bitchy. In other words, you know, you've always got from all different angles, and you don't want to be swayed and pulled in too many different directions if you're not clear what your own vision and your own focus is as well. So what is right for you and in your heart and what you believe in, because then it's true to who you are, not to who anybody else is.
I like that. Yeah, it's true, because everyone's going to have their opinion or their version of it. And you're right, you can then lose yourself, couldn't you? Everyone could say, well, that pocket doesn't look right, or oh, I think I put a button here instead. Like, well, no, this is the vision. You're right. No, I understand that. And what does the future hold for you? Obviously, there's the new film, which is tomorrow. Fantastic. Where do you see your brand going? Obviously, you're doing so much stuff with the film industry, which is phenomenal. And that's still, thankfully, in this season, chucking over. They've managed to keep that alive, which is good. Where would you like it to go? You've got your lines. I know I've seen your loads of fashion design, there's all sorts of things happening, but do you think you're going to create a new line? Maybe, I'm not sure. What's your plans?
Yeah, so we are kind of, my team and I, we are working on a few things. We'll look to take off in March and April time. So we are to expand and tap into a little bit of loungewear and a little bit of accessories, just to kind of broaden our horizons.
Nice. That's amazing.
Exciting. And then we've got some really exciting partnerships actually going on in the background, which will kind of take off towards, I'd say, Q3, third quarter for the year. Quite exciting. So yeah, a few things. I won't say too much, but definitely will be, you know, on its way out sort of March, April time. We're doing a big International Women's Day campaign as well, because for this year is all about sort of gender equality. So I'm putting in quite a lot of resources and quite a lot of my contacts to kind of be allies around that as well. We're doing a kind of sort of like a couple of stories around that as well. And then we've got some opportunities to grow in Monaco and Dubai as well. So
lovely.
How things go with COVID, we might be expanding in a couple of locations over there as well.
That sounds beautiful. And those locations sound completely spot on with your brand. Completely on focus. Yeah, that sounds amazing. And yeah.
Well, you know.
Yeah, no, that's phenomenal. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not sure if anyone's had a chance to look at her designs. They're just wow. It makes you want to eat at all because to get in some, I'm sure everyone will agree in this lockdown, a few pounds have been put on, unfortunately. But your designs are just amazing. The silhouette of the lady, the weight, and also what's even amazing, because you are a tailor, you can make it to the shapes of all women, and that's what's good. But what I see is just wow. I love the way that do you sketch? Do you sketch before you?
Oh yeah.
So wow.
So sketches are always presented to the clients. So usually a total of about 6 are given to the client, so they can kind of pick and choose which ones they want, or all of them if they're going for a new wardrobe. But yeah, it's a nice process for the clients to be really involved, right process to fabric selection to printing options to buttons. Yeah, and it's very therapeutic actually to be sketching and drawing as well. It's nice to own in that element to do it.
Someone said your new best friend is your tailor, Sinclair London. That's lovely. Definitely, definitely. No, I'm really excited. I'm so happy to have had you on. We've been trying to connect for so long, but it's worked out very well. It's so lovely to be able to share your story, to catch up with you, and just to wish you everything but the best of success. I think what you've laid as a foundation is amazing. And, I see award ceremonies and all sorts of accolades coming your way because you're very talented. And it's great that the world is opening up. What I think is phenomenal about when you have a brand, the fact that you can expand it internationally. Isn't that it's amazing that you can do that. You can watch a film and see your designs. Things like that are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Really excited.
That the hard work's paid off, that when you're working, slogging away behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah. And that's what people don't see, do they, Alicia? When the sun's coming up and you're still working on a piece, trying to finish it up. Yeah. No, you deserve everything and more. Where can people find you? How can they connect with you? What's the best place to go?
Social medias, so obviously Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. The website, you can sign up to newsletters as well, so that kind of give you all the latest news that is happening and all the partnerships and what's to come as well. So that's always a good way to connect. And yeah, just all our socials as well.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure, Alicia, and thank you so much for taking the time out to see and speak to me and catch up. And I can't wait to see you in person. So many people I've been Zooming and doing IG lives with, but I can't wait to be in front of somebody having a drink and catching up.
I look forward to that. It'll be really, really good to connect. So.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you so much for coming. And hopefully, as you grow, as your business grows, anything new you want to share, I'll bring you back on again, definitely, to talk about it. And thank you and congratulations for tomorrow. Really excited about that. I will be watching it and I'll do some sharing as well. Okay.
Thank you so much, Rene. Well, take care. And yes,
I will. Definitely. You take care. Bye, Alicia.
Bye.
All the best, babe. Bye. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. Take care.